Welcome to the Healers Café, the #1 show for medical practitioners and holistic healers to have heart-to-heart conversations about their day-to-day lives while sharing their expertise for improving your health and wellness. Welcome to the Healers Café. And today I have with me Kathy Allan. She's a registered nurse, a board certified holistic nurse, a retired healing touch practitioner, energy medicine and instructor, and somatic experiencing practitioner. So she continues to serve as an assistant in the somatic experiencing trauma education program for psychotherapists. And I think we'll go on. I think you can explain a bit your history, but I do want to say that you also do stand-up comedy. I think that's probably what keeps you young at heart.
I love it.
Uh, let's start with, well, first of all, welcome. And, what started you on that path? Just, first
Yeah.
of all, and then I realized that your focus at this stage is a little bit different related, but could you kind of explain a little bit your history and your motivations and
Right.
what
Well,
you
yeah, thank you for asking. I love nursing. I've always loved nursing. I've been a nurse since 1964. And
wow.
I've had experience working in the industry, the healthcare industry, before for-profit industry took over. So I
Uh-huh.
know what it was like then. I have done all kinds of nursing, every single kind. I've worked in the operating room, the emergency room, intensive care, labor and delivery, pediatrics, you name it, I've done it. And I've done psychiatric nursing, worked in lock psych unit. I felt quite at home there. Just just a little joke there. And I was working in a hospital in the 90s that were doing some kind of unethical kinds of things, I thought. And I looked out the window of the unit I was working in, and I saw the cleaning lady dressed in scrubs discharging a new mother with her baby. Now, that is the job of a nurse, because if anything goes wrong with that baby or that mother, the nurse will know what to do. And so I went to lunch after that, and I saw all these people in scrubs in the hallway. And so I asked them if they were, what department they worked in. None of them were nurses. And somebody called administration, and a woman came and confronted me, and she told me if I didn't stop asking where people, departments that they worked in, that she would call security and have me removed from the hospital.
Wow.
Wow is right. And I thought, okay, what's going on here?
Mhm.
But what it did is it triggered a deep sense of betrayal because I had worked at that hospital for 20 years. And it triggered my own childhood trauma.
Mm.
And so I thought, at the time, I was also teaching in the Healing Touch program, which is energy healing, and had a private practice. And I thought, I can't do that now because I have all this trauma in my field. And so it would be unethical for me to continue doing the Healing Touch at that time. So I decided, okay, I need to heal this trauma. And so I have done my own personal work, but I've also graduated from 4 different trauma education programs for helping psychotherapists work with their patients. And what I got out of that, of course, was tremendous healing. But I also saw that the programs that I was in were for psychotherapists who had an hour to spend in a nice, quiet office with patients who had been traumatized in the past. And I thought about nurses. Nurses don't have that. First of all, they don't have the time. They work in a chaotic environment, and they and their patients are being traumatized in the present. So I thought,
Right.
I need to develop something for them that meets their needs. And so I created a program called Gutsy Nurses, and it teaches nurses how they can um, identify their own nervous system activation from trauma, how to regulate that, how to settle that, how to feel safe in an unsafe environment. I'm going through the different workshops that I have in my program,
Mm,
but also how to stand up to being their authentic self, instead of just, being in a role and
mhm,
getting by on their degrees and their role and their titles. So, teaching them it's okay to be a little bit more authentic, how to move from being more numbed out to being gutsy. And then I created the 12 steps of healing care, which is
mhm.
based on the 12 steps of AA, but it's
Right.
very different from it. It has to do with being able to give healing care with the help of the divine while
Mm,
you're working. Very simple, very easy to do, but also it adds a powerful element to nursing care.
mhm,
The awareness that we are motivated, we are supported by the divine, and that it's not an accident that the nurse is with this particular patient. That's something that is going to be benefiting both the patient and the nurse. So that's a
right.
little bit about the program.
Okay, interesting. So when you say, you recognize that you were that you had experienced trauma and it was
Yeah,
triggered.
yeah.
What is it that how do nurses recognize this? What
Well, not everybody has that same experience that I had. This was childhood trauma that was coming up. And for me, I had full-blown PTSD symptoms,
right, okay.
flashbacks,
Yeah,
all the usual symptoms. Now,
okay.
not all nurses have that.
No,
I had it, and it turned out to be a gift in the end because
of
I was,
course.
I didn't know, yeah, I didn't know about it, and I was unconscious to it. And then when the consciousness came up, I was able to heal it, and
Yeah,
then able to create something positive out of the
right.
whole experience. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I mean that is really the way forward with knowledge and consciousness, right? Is that, if we believe that we are in a world where kind of what we experience is happening for us, not to us,
exactly. Yeah,
then we're living in that universe where we
yeah.
understand that there's something there to be received. Now, sorry.
And I'm just going to say it expanded my ability to support my patients because
Okay.
having come through that and knowing how to heal that, I was able to hold space for people who've been through terrible experiences. Now, as far as nursing goes, not all nurses have had that experience, but there is, in the healthcare as we know it today, there's a tremendous amount of betrayal that nurses are dealing with. So,
Yeah. Well, actually, I was going to ask you if you don't mind a
yeah,
little bit expanding on what was the difference, when you said, and I don't know if money alone is the part of the culprit for the change. I mean, we've just gone through this, so-called pandemic where, we can see the trail of money and what it did and the
yeah,
pressures and, um, you know, it
yeah,
it changed everything, from patient care to, management for profit and whatever,
yeah.
so we can see that, but what was different when you started your practice? Um,
Oh, well, when I
big point.
back in the 60s.
Yeah, yeah.
At that time, care was an action word. And
Mm,
at that time, we were devoted to giving really good care. I went to a Catholic nursing school where the nuns would come around in the morning and then in the evening to make sure that the staff was okay and to make sure that the patients were okay.
mm,
We didn't have all of the tools that people have today. And
mm,
so our care was really coming from a very compassionate connection to our patients.
Yeah.
And in today's world, they don't have the ability, the time to have that. Our patients were in the hospital for usually the usual amount was 4 or 5 days. So that, and we worked 8 hour shifts 5 days a week. And so
Mhm.
we had time to get to know our patients, to have a relationship with them, and for our patients to feel safe with
Right.
their caregivers. I don't think we have that today. I
No.
think for profit has taken over. And not only that, well, I'll save that for later, but it's taken over in a way that diminishes patient care.
Mhm.
That they're really, they move them through as fast as they can to get reimbursement for insurance companies for procedures and lab tests. And then as soon as that income stops coming in, then they get rid of the patient. They send them either home or to a long-term care facility
Yeah.
that doesn't cost as much. Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Well, I know from nurses I've, had opportunity to work with or to train in what I do, the going to
yeah,
college. They said it's like their administration now. Basically, they're spending all their time taking notes, making sure everything is, documented, except for the really important things, obviously, which are not to be discussed. But
right.
basically, there's almost no time, and they say that they feel wiped out. They feel that it's dehumanized. That
Absolutely.
hmm,
Well, I'll tell you, and since I've started writing my book, I've been doing a lot of research, and I found out that there's a new element involved, and that is private equity firms. Now, private equity firms are places where people can do investments for various projects.
right.
They they have bought up many hospitals, nursing homes, and emergency services. Now, the whole goal for private equity firms is to make money. They need to make money. Their focus is on their investors and making money for their investors. The quickest way to make money when you buy a hospital or a nursing home is to cut staff, because then you have that
Mhm.
money available for your investors. And so that's what they've done is they've cut the staff, and there's been some research done on that. And without the staff to care for the patients, the staff are really um, supporting the private equity firms, not
Right.
because they want to, but because they have to.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, it seems and many decisions are made to benefit exactly those equity firms or
yeah,
the hospital per se, right? Instead,
right. Right. Now, what has changed since I became a nurse is that in those days, patients would go to their doctor and their doctor would decide if they needed to go to the hospital. And then the doctor would take care of them while they were in the hospital. So the doctor knew them, knew who they were, knew their history, and many times knew their families. In today's world, the doctors are not allowed to go to the hospital. They have what they call hospitalists, which are doctors that will take care of you while you're in the hospital. And what the industry has also done is, in order to save money, instead of using a doctor, they'll use a physician's assistant to
Mhm.
take care of you and give the orders, or they'll use a nurse practitioner.
Mhm. Mhm.
So, and these people don't know you from Adam.
Mhm.
So they need to do a lot of tests, which means a lot of reimbursement for the hospital. That's a moneymaker.
Right.
I have to tell you that there was a doctor who they told, I can't remember the exact who this was, but he was told to take on more patients than he felt like he could handle. And he told the administration, I already have too many patients. I can't take on any more. And the guy said to him, well, if you take on more patients, then you'll have more skin in the game, as if to say you'll be making more money. As this person had no idea that saving lives is all the skin in the game that we need as doctors and nurses.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway,
Yeah.
that's where healthcare has gone, and that's why I'm writing my book, to help nurses and to also show patients what's really going on and
Yeah.
and how we can change that.
What would your life be like if you were pain free? If you were one of the millions who suffer from chronic pain, the thought of just one day without it may seem impossible. This is often because conventional medicine tends to fall short in the treatment of pain, opting to prescribe pills or recommend surgery rather than getting to the root cause of the problem. But if you are suffering with emotional or physical pain, there is hope. Join the founder and CEO of Bowen College, Manon Bolliger, live online for your body-mind reboot. Learn how to listen to your symptoms and get to the root cause of your pain. Plus, be trained in basic Bowen therapy moves so that you can reboot your body for optimal health. You don't have to live in pain. You can heal. Stop the pain pill cycle by visiting www.yourbodymindreboot.com to learn more and to register.
So let's talk about that. How can we change this?
Yeah. Well, my feeling right now is that there are too many people making too much money off of the profit system, and that these private equity firms are making huge contributions to politicians and to people who make the rules. And so that's not going to change. So I don't think we can necessarily change the system so much as we can dry up the market. And
Mm,
what that means and is to eat healthy. Don't eat foods that have been grown in poison. Eat organic foods as much as possible. Exercise, do all the things you need to do. Now, there are a lot of nurses, and the big rage today with nurses is being a nurse coach, because nurses have the background to know what illnesses are caused by. They can work with individual people and help to keep them healthy so they don't end up in the hospital,
mhm.
which is really just, being in the hospital is more like a moneymaker for the
Right.
industry, not
Right.
not for care.
Yeah, it's not prevention for
No,
sure.
right, exactly. So if we can prevent people from going into hospitals, we can dry up the market.
Yeah. I mean, it really is, health is part of a bigger issue, obviously, because, how do you stop the spraying of
Yeah.
fields? How do you stop companies like Monsanto? How do you stop,
Yeah,
the geoengineering of the weather and
right,
all the
right.
seeding and, like, we're getting bombarded because, I think since Rockefeller and the Flexner report, I think it's been a sick care system, not a health care
Well,
system.
it's designed to keep you sick because you're the
Exactly.
market, and they don't want the market to go away. So if you
Right.
get well, then you're going to go away. But if you stay sick, then they can continue to make money off of you. And it used to be that people were called patients, and then from patients they went to customers, and then
Right.
they are consumers. And
Right.
I think today they're the cash cow.
Yeah.
That's where it's gone.
Yeah. So as it's really creating like an alternative model, which is really focused on health
Yes.
and avoiding needing to be in a hospital setting. Which I guess, if you break a leg, you're kind of
Yeah.
you're
And
stuck.
you're stuck. But if you have something that's an acute situation,
Mm,
you can get very good care.
mhm.
If you have a heart attack, you have a
Yep,
broken leg, whatever, you get a stroke, get to the hospital right away, and they'll give you medication to reduce any symptoms of a stroke. So there are some things that are very, very helpful when you go to the hospital. But if you have a chronic condition, that's not so true.
no, no, exactly, and, many of the chronic conditions, like we were saying, are preventable,
Yes,
right?
right.
So even if we go back, even a stroke, is preventable, a
Yeah.
heart attack, you know.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I mean, it's interesting because you've been uh, around and practicing shortly after I was born. So it's many years.
Yeah, no, you're just a kid.
Yeah. So it's funny to hear that perspective and to see really how much has changed, you know, and a lot of people don't really realize that. I think a lot of our
No.
history is not known.
That's right. And that's why I wanted to include the first part of the book talking about what care was like, because so many of the nurses and hospital workers today are so young that all they know is this extremely dysfunctional healthcare system. They
Yeah.
don't know what it was like before, and also hopefully to give them some ideas about what it can be like again. You know, you
Mhm.
talked about the pesticides that they're using for spraying on the crops. My granddaughters live in Iowa, and I was talking to one the other day, and she said that you can smell the chemicals that they're putting on the field. Of course, the wind takes it
Yeah.
just on that field, but all around the country, all around the area, I should say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think things in some ways are becoming more to like more critical. You know, I think the this whole COVID fiasco
Yeah.
management, now it looks like clearly premeditated. I mean, you know, we can go deep into that, but I think sort of shown that a lot of the people, even the doctors and the nurses, have very little hope to be able to get out of the system, or they feel as if, you know, I'm not saying they don't have hope, and there's
No.
definitely a way out, but you know, the people who did speak out and who refused to use the respirators because that wasn't the
Yeah.
solution,
Right.
they all got punished, they all got fired, they all got, you know, they lost their income, they had to make major decisions, right?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
you know, we're really it's a
Yeah.
big change that we need to
It's
all stand for.
It's huge. And that's why I created a couple of my classes. One
Mhm.
is to teach people how they can go um, from a regular nurse to being gutsy. And then
That's it.
also, yeah, how to do that. And then there's another class called Looking In, Speaking Out, which is to be authentic. Now, you're right. Many times when healthcare providers speak out, they have consequences. They're told they're going to be fired. And many times they are fired. But what it does to your soul when you don't speak out
Yeah.
is more dangerous and more destructive than being fired from a job that you know is unethical. So
Yes.
I help people to be able to be in tune with their authentic self.
Yeah.
And yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I do think that people will, you know, or are starting to realize, you know, like I lost pretty well the use of my naturopathic license for speaking out, you know, and
Oh,
I didn't think that, you know, writing newsletters or, you know, telling people, well, why don't you do some prevention? You know, we could take, because at the beginning, I didn't
yeah,
realize this was all a plan.
right.
I thought, okay, well, you know, do the usual things, take some zinc, make sure you have sunlight or go take
Yeah,
vitamin D. Like we don't have a lot of sun in periods, right? So I was saying things that I thought, wow, this is the opportunity for more health oriented, you know, medicines
yes,
to
yes.
really show the way. Little did I know what we were truly up against, you know,
Right. You're
and
up against a huge machine that
correct.
is going to make money no matter what. And there
Yeah,
was a tremendous movement of money from small businesses to large corporations.
correct,
Yeah,
correct.
yeah. And I really do know that it was staged.
Yeah,
The thing that really concerned me is that there were doctors who had other kinds of approaches that could help people, and they were forbidden from doing.
correct,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah,
And I thought, what's up with that?
yeah,
Who's profiting from that? Because
yeah,
somebody's profiting from it.
yeah. I think by now, it's, I mean, more in the States. In Canada, we're still highly censored.
Yeah.
Um, so, but, it is coming out. I mean, truth finds a way to come out, and, and you can't hide from it, so.
Yeah. Was it's either Hamlet or Macbeth, I forget, in that famous line, the truth will out.
Yes, and
Yeah.
well, no, and I think I think it's great to create ways for people who, have devoted their life to helping people to find the heart in it again when they've been so demoralized, and traumatized,
Right.
from what they've had to witness, see, and, you
Well, and in my research, it came to the conclusion that healthcare people think differently from private equity people, from
know,
from capitalist people. Capitalist people, their whole thing is money. But the problem with that is they never have enough. Never. They always have to have more. And an example of that is the Jeff Bezos of the world who wanted a yacht. He didn't want a yacht. He wanted a ship. So he's got a $500 million, what he calls a yacht, but it's not, it's a ship. He wanted a jet airplane. So he got one, and now he has four. So he doesn't have enough. So when your whole focus is on having money,
Mhm.
you'll never have that satisfaction that you do when you're connected to humanity, to your own
Right.
humanity, and to care the way that we are. It feeds your soul in a way
Yeah.
that money could never feed your soul.
Yeah, no, I agree. And I think it may have taken something as horrific as what went down for more people to wake up, because I think we took it for too many people took it for granted. And
We believed that other people were as good as we were.
yeah, or believe in authority, or that
Yeah,
we can't, that we're not big enough to stand up. And we're not
yeah,
alone. We're not.
right, right.
As a group, as many people now saying, okay, enough is enough. I don't think they can get away with anything anymore. It's
No, that's right. People are waking up
yeah,
now.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, no,
And
so
and that's an example of that is when Luigi Mangione killed the healthcare CEO, uh,
right.
and everybody was supporting him. Luigi Mangione. So he opened up a Pandora's box. I mean,
Yeah,
that was a terrible thing to do, but it made people more aware of the corruption in the
mhm,
system.
yeah. And I think in the end, I mean, my own analysis at this point, money in and of itself need not be a problem. I think
Right,
what's behind it is power. And there's a lot of peons who are drunk with money just in the front because they're not looking at who's controlling this and
right,
who
right.
really has the power. And if we go further back and we look at the big picture, it's these are power hungry people, of which the rest are mostly puppets, thinking that money is the answer when
Yeah.
they're never going to find it in the money. It's, but it's not
Well,
money by itself. I mean, there are some people who have money and don't have power issues and they do fabulous things. So,
yeah,
I think, yeah, it's just, it's who's controlling this and who's allowing
yeah,
for the control to happen.
right. Well, at the beginning of the century, we had the robber barons, all
Right,
of those people who were making tons of money off of coal and gas and, all these things. And they were just collecting for themselves. And then FDR got in and broke all that up with the antitrust. And
right.
and those people then started doing good things with their money. So they were highly motivated. So now we need to motivate the rich again to do good things with the money.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we'll see. I think
Yeah,
we're on the pinnacle of some interesting change. And
I agree with you. Absolutely. Yeah.
anyway, that's exciting. So give us again, because our time is actually up. How
Oh,
do people find you, your
yeah.
trainings, your
Yeah.
course? How can
Well,
we get
they
hold of you?
can go to my website is
Mhm.
gutsynurses.com. And there you can see all the things that I offer. You can see how to get in touch with me. My email is there, info@gutsynurses.com. My telephone number for the company is there. And then there are things on the website that can be very helpful. You can download the 10 steps to healing trauma. You can watch these little videos that can give you tips on what to do if you're too stressed out.
Great.
So there's a lot of information to help people on
Okay.
that website.
Okay, well, thank you for sharing all your knowledge and all your years of being in the field.
Thank you, thank you, and thank you for all that you've done too, especially with the podcast here. This is
Mm,
great.
oh, you're
You're,
welcome.
you're reaching a lot of people.
Yeah, that's I do it because this is my social time. I actually love meeting new people and finding out, especially in this field,
Yeah,
what are people doing, and what's changing and what's happening and what's behind the scenes. And so it's my Thursday fun.
yeah. Very cool, very cool.
Well, thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I have enjoyed it immensely. Loved meeting you.
With the conversation with Kathy Allan, I think one of the big takeaways is perspective. It's if you've been in practice for 60-ish years, you certainly can compare what was to what is, and so learn, what the benefits of what was, or could be the other way around, but what's happening mean it's really good to have contrast. It's hard when you're within a system and you're educated by mostly the media, and then you doubt yourself because you don't have time for self anymore. It's very hard to get a good perspective. So I think that's really the big takeaway is perspective, and then obviously, you know, time for change. Thank you for joining us at the Healers Café. If you haven't already done so, please like, comment, and subscribe with notifications on, as I post a new podcast every Wednesday with tons of useful information and tips for natural healing that you won't want to miss.